Hello. Mic check, Mikey check. Mikey check. Oh my God, is that the end of the song? Oh my God, it is. Hold on. Buttons. Push buttons. Okay. Okay. Got it. Oh, yeah. There it is. There's the button. Some people will say, do you not know how to remember how to push a button? The answer to that question is no, I can't remember how to push a button. And why would I? Why would that be important? First questions of the day. Why is this stuff important? Is the world, should we let it burn? Is it important? Why is it important? These are all questions people are asking themselves inside their brains. I think, at least I think they are. I don't know. I know I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking sometimes. Is that what we're doing around here? Are we just going to let it burn? Why? And if so, why? Why would we do that? Why does that seem viable? That doesn't seem viable to me. Anyhow, it is Monday. What's the date today? The 28th. Oh my God, it's the 28th of October. What are we going to do about that in 2024? Which means we've got to check our Amazon affiliate. Oh my God, somebody bought Lego Construction City. We'll go see. We'll go check the Lego excavator set. Oh my God, this is amazing. Hey, if you want to be somebody that goes on to Amazon and buys a Amazon Lego constructor set off of Amazon, made by Lego, but just resold by Amazon and shipped to you, here's an affiliate link that we get affiliate income from. We're the advertiser. You get it? We don't have anything to do with that company other than we just advertise like, hey, you can go over there and buy stuff if you like, which you probably already are, so you might as well go through our link. Okay, done with that commercial part of the beginning, right? There's links down below on the video if you want to just go over to Amazon. You can. Be like whoever bought this awesome construction excavator, which, by the way, I kind of want to get this for Olivia now. I I think I'm gonna leave that in the list for possible Christmas present. Possible Christmas present. Lego constructor set. Why did we get a bounty? There's apparently a bounty on here. Oh, weird. Okay, I didn't know that there was bounties on the Amazon affiliate thing. We're learning today, folks. My God, we are learning, aren't we? And aren't we? We're learning so hard. It's unbelievable. Anyhow, back to the regularly scheduled programming of saying, hey, do you want to become a patron or a member on this YouTube channel? I don't have any money for gifting memberships today, so we're just going to talk about it. You could become a member on this channel, and you could, join up on our beautiful Discord, where we talk about aquariums and all sorts of other stuff. And it's the best way to get in touch with me. Like, if you have a project and you want to talk to me about the project, become a sponsor, and then you get to be able to be on the Discord, and then you could send messages on all of the pages that we've assembled, and we could talk about your fish tank project, your cabinet building project, whatever project you're doing. And you know what? If I don't know something about it, I guarantee you the 300 or 286 people or whatever that are in there will probably know something about it, or be able to reference you something that would be to give you information about it, right? And we can come to a consensus. You could try out the ideas and see if it's a resolution for your problem. And if it doesn't work, then we will go back to the drawing board, or it does work, and guess what? Huzzah, victory. Boom. So you could become a patron, and it gives you access to the Discord, or you could just become a member on YouTube, and it gives you access to the Discord. Bentley Pascoe's here. What did I miss? I don't know. What did you miss? What's going on, buddy? I would need more information as to what has been missed or not missed. I don't know. What did you miss? I think the last time I saw you was springtime, Mr. Bentley. I think it was springtime. And then there was some kind of event that I may or may not have said I wanted to or was going to. I don't know. I feel like there was an event I was maybe supposed to go to or something, and I didn't go because of my guess, a previously scheduled family excursion, because the family weekends have been busy. I will tell you that. The family weekends have been busy. And any of you that weren't here on the live stream last week, I told y'all I was headed up to Oroville to do some work on Witchy Cat's off-grid, I was going to say farm. It's not a farm yet. Off-grid living situation. Loaded up the truck Monday night, left early Tuesday morning, and went up there and worked. I stayed at a different hotel this time. That was not actually a hotel. It was a motel, and I will tell you 3 things about it. It was cheaper, nicer, and better accommodating. So, if I go up there again, guess where I'm staying? The Junction Motel in Tonasket, Washington. That's where I'm staying again, baby. Even though the rooms are small, it was affordable, it was clean, it was accommodating. All of the people that worked there were cool. There's even a big giant laundromat right next door that's part of the property. So I'm staying there again. It's at a gas station. So if, by any chance you wake up at 3 a.m. and you desperately need a gallon of gasoline because you're really, really thirsty, boom. You just go right over there, get a gallon of gas, and slurp it down, right? Or you could just go into the store that's open, which, by the way, the last time I stayed in Oroville, there is nothing open. If you, have a screaming headache and and you're like, oh, shit, I forgot my Advils or whatever, right? Yeah, nothing was open, so there wasn't much to do about that. You'd probably have to drive to Tonasket, which is where I stayed this time. Much nicer. Get to drive around 2 lakes to get up to Witchy Cat's place. Cool. lots of cows. I hit a deer on the way over at very slow speed, though. I managed to slow way down, completely missed the mother deer, but I bonked the fawn. That was a big fawn. You know, it's the end of summer. They've been growing this whole time. A big fawn. It was a big fawn. I bumped it in its ass. It skittered around and then jumped off into the woods. Numerous people have asked me, oh my God, was the deer okay? And my response has been like, I mean, I didn't give it a medical examination. I didn't stop and take it to the vet. It was running around. So my interpretation was it's okay. My truck's fine. So win-win. 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 Witchycat says the miracle is he didn't hit a cow-calf. I did bump some cows. I bumped some cows, too. I will say, if I move out to Oroville, Washington, I'm getting a cattle guard for my truck. If I move out there, I'm getting a cattle guard for my truck. Because I feel like if I hit a deer where I live, someone's going to show up within a certain amount of time. Like, let's say I'm going 70 miles an hour and I obliterate a deer. It fucks up the truck. I drive off the side of the road and have a medical emergency. Someone is probably going to drive by at least within the half an hour, right? A lot of the roads out here don't have much traffic either, but it's not situationally going to be the man survives 72-hour ordeal trapped in his truck, the side of the mountain. You know, it won't be that story. It'd be more like, God, another deer caused a car crash is would be the story, the headline, right? More than anything. So I think if I move out there, I definitely would get a cattle guard for the front of my truck, especially for all of the idiot cattle, including deer. By the way, there was a black-tailed deer, a little spike buck that would have, if I had a deer tag, although I was driving my truck, so I'm not going to admit this. I'm just making a joke about it. But if there was a deer tag, if I had a deer tag, that deer would have been totally eaten for dinner because that deer was very dumb and didn't even realize that I was driving slowly up the hill directly towards them while they stood in the road. So my expectation would be if I had walked up on that deer, I probably could have just stabbed it with a knife, right? Wouldn't even had to waste the ammunition. But needless to say, the cows standing in the road kind of need to get bumped out of the way, right? They got to get kind of like nudged out of the way because you honk at them, they don't move. You drive up close to them, they don't move. If you stick your head out the window and yell at them, they don't move. If you whistle at them, they don't move. But if you bump them with the truck a little bit, they go like, oh, that's like an object. That's an object that's coming towards me. And then they kind of like ramble out of the way. So I did bump a couple cows, but they're totally fine. I know for a fact they're totally fine. They exhibited zero issues. The deer probably had a minor heart attack. I would say they probably would want to seek a heart doctor. What's a heart doctor? Cardiovascular. What do you call those guys? Cardiologist, right? Heart doctor. Heart doctors are called cardiologist. Okay. I think that deer should seek out a cardiologist to make sure that their heart is in good shape after the likely heart attack that they had. But other than that, we worked all week. You know, we get up in the morning, we pick up stuff, we drive up the mountain. You know, we do work. You understand. You guys know how work works? Work works. Bark, 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 bark. Right? We did all that stuff. Not a whole lot to report on that anybody needs to even know about in regards to that. But I needed to get back on Sunday, which is yesterday. I needed to get back here early enough so that we could go on a Halloween train ride that has been booked for months and months and months. Vicky Toria herself booked the Halloween train ride on the Snoqualmie historic train place. What the hell is this place called? The Historic Train Museum? Historic Train. Oh, jeez. My leg's in the way of typing. Museum. How do you spell museum? Quick. Museum. It's called the Northwest Railway Museum. Let's take a look at what I'm looking at. You guys want to see what I'm looking at? I rode on this train yesterday. Oh, my God, right here on the front page. They've got it. They've got it. They've got it. I touched this. I touched this. I touched this. This train right here. Locomotive? What do you call it? Engine? Jesus, what are they called? I forget. I don't know. I went to the historical museum, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. Now, the reason to explain why I don't know what the hell is going on is because I got done working up with Witchy at like 10:30, I think, 10:30 at night. Finally got the truck all loaded up, tools and everything put away in my truck, and headed on down the mountain. Drove all the way down the mountain, and I will tell you, the whole week I was there, it was dry. It did not precipitate at all. There was no moist, guys and gals and ladies and germs and everyone involved. And fuck it. Everyone not involved also, okay? Think about the moist, all right? Just think about it in your mind, okay? Put it inside your mind and think about it. We don't hit Alt here. We have to hit Control. Is it Control? Excuse me. Anyhow, the whole time I was up there, it was dusty as shit. And no moist was coming down, okay? No moist was coming down. The humor was dry. Exactly. No moist was falling from the sky, nothing. The last night I was there, it just started dumping rain down like somebody turned on a faucet. You know, somebody just flicked the shower on and tossed me in there. The water was cometh. The water cometh, okay? The moist cometh. Out here, they call it an atmospheric river. They call it an atmospheric river. I'm going to let them keep doing that, okay? I'm going to let them keep calling it that. I'm not going to call it illegal or against the law or anything like that, to be clear. They can legally still call it that. I do find it somewhat offensive, though, okay? Atmospheric river, I find it offensive. What do you want me to do about it? I find it offensive. Either way, they call it atmospheric river. It's just shooting moisture and wind all over the front and back of Washington State. Just spewing it everywhere. Windy as all get out, and moisture everywhere. It being 10:30 at night, I was driving down the mountain, which had been bone dry, and now suddenly had the super wet. Which meant, hey guy, you better drive carefully because there's weird mud and weird dry spots and dusty spots and slippery spots. So I just drove slow. Not a big deal. Just drove slow and got down to my new favorite little motel out in the middle of nowhere, the Junction in Tonasket, and stopped in there and used their restroom, which, by the way, for some reason, their bathroom in the gas station has one of those 48-inch wide sinks. You know what I'm talking about? It's one big-ass porcelain sink. Somebody must have found it on sale or something, and they were like, yeah, just use that fancy guy sink and put that in the restroom. I don't know why it has a giant sink, but it does. Anyhow, used the restroom, grabbed a snack, and then got some gas and headed out on the road. And by then, it was 11:45 or something like that. Maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe it was just 11:30. Anyhow, I look at the old how long it's going to take me to get home. It says I'm not going to be home until 4 a.m. And I say, that's fine. I'll do that. I can do that. That's not a problem. Now, one of the things about Google Maps, the Google Maps, right? One of the things about Google Maps is they're just assuming that you are going to drive the speed limit or above the entirety of the estimation of the drive that they're giving you, and that there are no traffic jams. So you're just going to drive full speed the whole way there, unobstructed by any other phenomenon, I guess we'll put it, outside, right? So I say, yeah, getting home at 4 a.m. is kind of rough, but we'll be fine. So I begin the trek and start to realize pretty quickly, that the atmospheric river is hitting hard. Okay, it's hitting hard. It's coming in strong and fierce, and it's blowing fog all over the place. So not only is it dumping the moisture physically, it's dumping the moisture psychologically. You can't see through it. You know what I'm saying? So we've got the fog, we've got the wind, we've got the heavy rain, we've got the darkness, and all of those things combining to not really being the guy who's going to be driving 60, 65 miles an hour through the woods while there's deer migration going on with all of this weather happening at the same time. So needless to say, I pulled into my driveway at 7:32 a.m., which means I did not sleep except for when I was at the top of the mountain up at Lake Diablo Outlook, and said, I'm starting to nod off. I pulled off there, and I went to sleep for a little over an hour. I just took a little, air quote, safety nap. But it wasn't really sufficient because you replace 8 hours of sleep with 1 hour of sleep sitting up in a truck because I couldn't even lay my seat back. It's not the same thing. So pretty sleep deprived. Show up here, deal with all the rigmarole, hop in my bed and sleep for 2 hours, and then get up for the train extravaganza that you see right here. The Halloween train. We went on the Halloween train. I don't know what I was expecting. It was nothing like I expected. It was more like the fall stream or the fall steam train excursion highlighted there on November 2nd right here. It was more like this. I don't know why they called it the Halloween train. They really weren't dolled up for it to be the Halloween train. But I will say it was fun nonetheless. And it takes you to the museum. It takes you up and down. You get to see the Snoqualmie Falls from the backside. It's the only way to see the Snoqualmie Falls from the other side is to ride this little train that goes back there. It stops for about 10 minutes. You can't get off it to go look at the falls. You just have to stay in the train to look at it. But that was cool. And then it takes you up to North Bend and then back down to Snoqualmie again. Pretty cool, and I definitely enjoyed it. I don't know how much it cost. Let's find out how much it cost. Their buttons don't work. Oh, yeah, their buttons work now. Oh, look at that. Okay, so it was $28 a person. I don't know if I'd pay $28 a person to do it again, to be honest. But if you're a severe autistic person and you have a deep passion for trains, it's definitely worth $28. I'll tell you that much. Definitely worth $28. I'm guessing that the Christmas train, as we saw from the pictures there, hold on. My mouse thing is being weird. There were pictures here of the Christmas train. Let's go back. Right here. Can you... This isn't a button. You can't, like... They don't have a page for Santa. Maybe if you go to buy tickets... I don't know. Oh, wait. Okay, here. It has an explanation. We'll read the explanation. Maybe not word for word, because I'm a little bit loopy still. I missed a whole night's sleep, and it's making me loopy even today. I went to one of my appointments earlier today, and literally was like, ugh. My eyelids were weak. My palms were sweaty. There's spaghetti. Mom's spaghetti, you know? As they say in the biz. Mom's spaghetti. Here, let's go like this. We'll shrink it down. Like this. And then you guys can read it. Oh, wait. You don't need this part down here either. This is the part of the show where we read along. Santa Limited, the train. Join Santa and his elves for the Santa Limited. Begin your 2-hour round-trip experience at the North Bend Depot. Climb aboard historic passenger cars and ride to the Railway History Campus. Come inside the seasonally decorated train shed exhibit hall, explore exhibits, visit Santa in the restored chapel car, where each child will receive a small gift, tour a Weyerhaeuser caboose, and enjoy seasonal children's crafts. Each ticket holder will receive a cookie. Oh my God, I'm going for the cookie, baby. I don't know about you all, but I'm going for the cookie. I'm going to see if they'll give me an extra cookie. Tickets must be purchased online in advance for your train ride. So we'll be doing this. I don't know on what day, and I wouldn't tell you anyhow, because then you creeps will show up. Then you creeps will show up and try to be creeps. You know, we don't need that. Ain't nobody need that. Anyhow, so we did the Halloween train, which really wasn't very Halloween-y, I would say. But I did see that chapel train car that they were talking about yesterday, the historically restored chapel train car, and that thing is a freaking beauty on the inside. They didn't want us going in it. There was a chain over the door, but I stuck my head inside it and swiveled this old beast around and looked in there, and I was like, that's a beaut. So I look forward to be able to go in there and get some Santa Claus pictures with Olivia. Yeah, so I think we're all excited for that, right? I think everybody's excited. But anyhow, that was my week working up on the mountain, and still tired from it. I'm going to be honest with you. And then the Seattle football Seahawks were complete failures yesterday, and every football team has a game like that, and we're just going to move on. It just happens. It just happens. Every football team has a clusterfuck of a game, and it's going to happen. Does that mean the sky is falling? No. They're 4-4, and it's fine. And if you don't know what 4-4 means, that's 4 wins, 4 losses. They'll be fine. They'll continue being a football game, and they'll football game. They'll continue being a football team, and they'll probably continue to get better, and we'll see how it goes. It's a long season, a lot more football to play. 8 games? How many games left? 9 games left. 9 games left. So they technically they could go 13-4 if they win every single game from here. I doubt that they will, but my hopes with the Seahawks this year is just that they make a playoff game. You know, have a playoff game. That's my expectations for them. Anyhow, where did my chat go? I lost my chat. Oh, you guys aren't even chatting hard today. Why aren't you guys chatting hard? Are you tired? There's a sun peeking through the clouds in the chat. How did you do that? Oh, it looks good. It looks real good on YouTube chat, but it looks real bad on the converted chat over here. There's a round face with the squiggly fog line marker next to it. I felt so bad about that, even with no control. I've said wet. Oh, no, it's fine. It happens that you get wet when you work outside. It happens sometimes. Not a big deal. It's just, that's reality, and I'm not upset by it. It just was like, that's some real stupid timing there, weather. Alyssa Bentley says, I just like your story, actually. Oh, well, all right. Well, hey, that's what happened. You know, it was a busy week. We bunked some deers. We bonked some cows. We explored the mountain, and we explored ourselves internally and externally. You know, yeah. It was good. It was a good time, and everybody had fun, and a lot of work got done. Less work than I had anticipated initially, but I feel like we got the essentials handled, and that's good. You know, the weird thing about the train situation this last weekend is that I saw some friends of mine, and I really was just feeling like not like socializing. I didn't really feel like socializing. So I just sort of did the like, oh, yeah, I didn't notice those guys. Like, I hadn't seen them in a long time, and I didn't want to do the whole like, hey, what you been up to? I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that thing. Some old friends of mine, I seen them. But my daughter was acting less than cool at the moment that I saw them, and I don't think that they noticed it was me. I think because I was like just in a spot where I think they just like, hey, random guy, there's a random guy there, right? Now, if I find out later that they noticed it was me and I didn't say hi and they are like irritated by it, I will be like, well, you didn't say hi either if you saw me. Right? Has that ever happened to you before? Somebody be mad at you that you didn't say hi to them? And then you'd be like, yeah, but you didn't say hi to me. And you just hit them with that one. And then they're like, ah, shit, got me. And you're like, that's right. That's right. You'd be all like, you tried to get me, but I'm here getting you too. So, right? But that happened. And it's very exciting. I think it's very exciting. Fish tank update. This one. I'm going to update on this tank. The blue-green algae went buck wild while I was gone. No maintenance had happened while I was gone because I was in here to do it. Nobody did it. Somebody may or may not have missed the communications about feeding Puffy. So when I texted to ask, oh, yeah, hey, did you feed Puffy? There was a, was I supposed to feed Puffy situation? And I said, well, he doesn't know how to feed himself. So, yeah. Did the plants go nuts? I don't know if the plants went nuts. They're growing. There's only slight issues with the plants. I wouldn't worry about the plants. The plants are growing. It's mitigating the algae. That's what we got to mitigate here. So, like I said, we process through our gardening emotions here by checking the CO2, making sure that that's correct, doing our water changes, and by doing our water changes, adding in fertilization in order to balance it back out and continue the growth of the plants, and eventually we'll get where we want. The dwarf baby tears are probably taking up a lot more real estate than they were 2 weeks ago. So that's probably that's like this little area here is definitely filling in. So once dwarf baby tears once the oh yeah, that's my tongue. Once the dwarf baby tears fill in, everyone will know, oh my god, look how great this fucking fish tank is. And then we'll have to go back to the atmospheric river conversation again. We'll have to double back to the atmospheric river conversation and talk about that once again. Yes. Alyssa says, "Oh, blue-green algae. Oh, it's the worst." It's fine. That's the thing. It's fine. We're gonna be fine. It's not a big deal. We're gonna work our way through the algae, and it's not a big deal. And realistically, if it does become a big deal, it's a display tank, and we'll break it down and we'll rescape it and we'll make a YouTube video out of it that may or may not ever get edited. I really, really, really wanted to do some video editing today, and I had to take my daughter to the doctor, and then I had an appointment I had to go to, and then that stuff, and I had to unload my truck, and I had to clean up my shop, and I had to do massive water changes and maintenance on this tank. So we did all of those things today. We've managed to be productful. We've answered emails that went unanswered last week. So it's a fine Monday. We're having Monday. Monday's existing. Monday has not escaped us. But my body is telling me that I'm supposed to be having a Sunday today. Like I'm supposed to be having Sunday chill out day. My body's telling me I'm supposed to be having Sunday chill out day, and just because of how the schedule worked out, which is not a big deal, how the schedule worked out today is still Monday. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I'm guessing that you probably tune into this live stream to frantically hit the like button, the subscribe button, become a patron and a YouTube member, just for the calendar updates and how days work, like Like one day it's Sunday, and then the next day, the very next day, it's Monday. And then you live stream and you take a nap because your eyes are tired. Like Bob Ross. Right? English is one of the hardest languages. True. English is one of the hardest languages, especially from the fact that we constantly change it. We make rules, then we break the rules, then we make exceptions to the broken rules. And even with all of that, then you have insane dialects from one end to the United States to the other end of the United States, and all of the other countries in the world where English is spoke. They all have their own dialects, accents, and all sorts of nonsensory tomfoolery, right? There is a guy on TikTok that is making the best making fun of English TikToks I've ever seen in my entire life, and I have no idea who he is, but he's the guy that goes like, no. What does he say? What does he say? He's like, no, it's this. I forget. Somebody in the chat will remember, and then we'll go watch. We'll go watch TikToks. We probably won't go watch TikToks, guys. If there's one thing I know about live streaming on YouTube, it's a bad idea to just be watching TikToks while you live stream. That is not the way to do it. Although sometimes people do a subathon, right? They'll do a subathon, and it's so that people will subscribe. They just stay streaming forever, and then they just like hang out and do shit. And apparently that's popular somehow. That they just are broadcasting their lives like the Truman Show, but not as high quality as the Truman Show, right? Like the quality's not as good, and they're also not Jim Carrey, right? And I feel like if you aren't even in the ballpark of having even close to the talent that Jim Carrey has, why do that? Don't do that. Don't do that. But what will we call chickens? I don't know. I don't understand the comment. Anyhow, the green room is open in case people that are leaving weird comments in the chat can elucidate us with what that means. Because Witchy Cat's really the only person that ever calls into the show with anything to say. As we move on to the next topic, which was the topic was aquascaping. We are aquascaping. We did get some new plants. We did stop by the Sierra Fish and Plant, I think. Sierra Fish and Pet Store. We're going to have to look it up because I don't want to get it wrong because I really like these people. They're a local fish store, and it's a fucking awesome place. Sierra Fish Store. Let's find their whole name. Sierra Fish and Pets. See, that's the thing. I will replace the word pets with plants because I like plants better. Right? Right? You know? So there's that. But Sierra Fish and Pets in Renton, Washington. You go to Renton, Washington, and you go to Sierra Fish and Pets. It's actually a great store. I really like the store. I've always had great experiences there. It is what I expect from a legacy fish store that has been around for a long time. Lots of variety, lots of stuff to buy. Like, when I say variety, I mean like they have all of the products that have sort of proven themselves to not suck for a long time, right? They have lots of fish. The people that work there are cool. And, yeah, I shot a little video, and the little video will maybe make its way to YouTube. I don't know. Like I said, it's the scheduling for the dedicated time to editing that becomes a problem. And I've mentioned it 1,000 times. I need to find somebody who wants to profit share in editing. I think that's the thing that works the best, as far as a collaboration type situation. But therein lies the issue. Would somebody want to make $5 for editing a video? I don't know. Probably not, right? Hold on. I'm getting a message. Oh, the girls are home. It is early release week for the kids. I don't understand early release week. They're just like, yeah, we're just doing half days for whatever reason. And that's just how that goes, right? Which is another reason why Americans need childcare. That makes sense. We need some kind of childcare in the United States of America, right? In the United States of America, we need some kind of childcare because conservatives have been on this like frantic tirade for a while now about the replacement theory and that Americans, that the demographics in America are air quote like not good, right? We're not having enough kids. We're gonna get replaced by immigrants or whatever, and they're like, hey, people need to have more kids. And you go like, okay, whether I agree with that or not, fundamentally, right, as to like whether or not Americans should or shouldn't have more kids, you do need young people to be entering the job market in order to sustain rampant, unfettered capitalism like we have here. And so it does make sense that if you turn on the news, they're going to go like, hey, we have to have more kids because we need more child labor, essentially. We need the young people to come in, enter the workforce, and do low-skill labor for like 10 years until they get a degree, and then they can do high-skill labor, and then the young kids they're just going to keep that system going. They just want to try to keep that system going forever, even though it doesn't seem sustainable because then you have to have an ever-projecting population until you end up with too many people, right? And then experts will come out and say, well, we can't have overpopulation. That's not good, right? Because then in China, they will go, oh, you know what? We might end up with overpopulation. You know what we should do? We should only have one kid, and we should make that a policy. And then we'll wonder why in 40 years we don't have anybody under the age of 40 anymore, right? But if you want these Americans to keep having kids, we need something like a daycare that actually works for the American people to actually be able to go to these jobs, because there's no place where a 5-year-old would get out of school at 12:30 in the afternoon and then just be able to take care of themselves until 5:30 or 6 o'clock if we worked a typical 9 to 5, right? Because you may work 9 to 5, but you don't just suddenly get home. You don't just suddenly get home. You're not immediately teleported to your house. And Vicky and I have been paying for childcare now for 5 years, except for when COVID shut down childcare. And I've talked to people about it, and people that don't have kids and people that had kids a long time ago do not fundamentally understand that Vicky and I have been paying the equivalent of most people's mortgage every month, so that we have childcare, so that we both can go to work, so that we can make more money, so that the capitalists can fucking take more money from the people working and put it into their boat, I guess. And then once they have the money, then they act like total assholes because they've somehow figured out the world. We figured it all out. Like, look at me, I'm super smart. And you go, are you very smart? Are you sure? Because the interpretation is that, oh, you have some money and you're kind of successful, so you just must be smart, right? Like, it's the validation in itself that, like, oh, you have $1 million or $5 million or $10 million or $1 billion. Oh, so you just have to be smart if that's the case, because they wouldn't have given you that money. And you go like, yeah, but I don't think anybody gave them that money. They just exploited the people working for them, right? And they're doing it in cahoots. I was listening to Bernie Sanders talk on Friday, I think, and he was I don't know what podcast he was on. It doesn't ring a bell with me. Let me check. Let's look where Bernie Sanders was. But the bigger point I was trying to make there is Bernie Sanders on a podcast. He was on with Lex Friedman, the fucking idiot Russian moron, who's been hyper amplified by the Joe Rogan fucking sphere. And Lex Friedman just sat there like, I don't understand for an hour, while Bernie Sanders just like dog walked him through obvious things, right? And Bernie Sanders was talking about the amount of lobbyists that they have to deal with, and guess who sends all of those lobbyists? Guess where all those lobbyists are sent from? Who pays for them to go there? It's obviously, you know who it is? It's obviously poor people that work at retail jobs, restaurant jobs, hotels. You know, it's all those people. It's the ditch digging people. You know, it's obvious that those are the people that are sending all the lobbyists to DC to influence them in not regulating these piece of shit companies and these piece of shit CEOs and business owners that just continue to extract money out of the United States working population, and then go, you need to have more babies so that I can exploit those workers too, right? I have explained on numerous occasions that we paid upwards of $1,700 a month so that Olivia could go to daycare at an early learning center. And that's a lot of cheese, my guy. That's a lot of cheddar, just so that Olivia isn't walking the earth unsupervised, right? Which, by the way, I spent a lot of my childhood doing that. So it's not very much of it's not very much of a stretch of the imagination if the previous generation is like, well, I just gave my kids a house key and they were fine, right? So we got to go to the calculator, and we got to go. And then we hit the multiplication because I can't do this in my head right now. $20,000 a year. $20,000 a year. What is the poverty line? What's the poverty line in the U.S. nationally? $30,000 for a family of four is the poverty line in the United States. An individual that is at the poverty line is $14,891 a year is the poverty line for somebody in the United States. Now, I don't know how anybody would be able to survive off $14,891 a year, but that's apparently the poverty line as illustrated by the U.S. government, which makes no fucking sense. I don't know how anybody's living off that. That doesn't make any sense. I guess maybe if you just own your house already and you don't have a payment, that's not even enough money to pay for daycare. Right? Right? That's not even enough money to pay for the daycare so that you could go to your job. So, yeah, clusterfuck of stupidity, and you wonder why people are upset. But I wish people would focus on the things that are making them upset, like the fact that we don't have a child care system in the U.S. that is designed to handle the fact that both parents are essentially required to go to work these days. That's just, like, I don't think that fact is going to change. Like, I don't think that the fact that both parents generally have to work nowadays, I don't think that fact is going to change. I don't think there's a way that would change unless we forced unionization of, like, every job title in the United States. Unless we did that, then I don't think we'll ever see. I don't think we'll ever see a world where the husband or the wife work full time and one of the parents gets to stay home with the kids and teach the kids and take care of the kids. Realistically, I would love to be able to stay at home and be a stay-at-home dad for Olivia and just be able to work on the part-time gigs, right, that come up that would need doing while she was at school. So for her school hours, I could work, or even like figure out something that, somebody local could watch her in the afternoons or whatever, and not have to be beholden to the absolute schedule. But that's not possible. It's just not possible to be able to have a stay-at-home parent anymore, and that's just a reality of the U.S. And my point would be that if we were working on trying to build a better society that wanted to have more kids, and you wanted to have a better replacement, if you wanted to have better replacement numbers, doing things like providing childcare so that the parents can still go to work would be a way to facilitate that, right? But currently, you have to make poverty level wages in order for you to get a voucher. And that's in Washington State. I don't know if that exists in any of the other states. I don't even fucking feel like looking it up. I bet there are different programs in all of the states, but I would say at least in this state, you have to be making poverty wages in order to qualify for what's essentially a voucher. And then what I've noticed anecdotally is that the schools are less sort of beholden to the people that are utilizing the voucher. Does that make sense? Sort of like the people that are using the voucher aren't getting the level of respect that the people that are paying cash for their child care. It's not, I don't think they're viewed the same. And that might just be anecdotal. It might just be a thing that I observed, or maybe I perceived, and I could be wrong. But that seems to be prevalent from what I've noticed over the years, is that if somebody who's paying out of pocket has a problem with something that's going on in the school, they're much more reactive to that person than they are to the person that yeah. So, I think that, like, fundamentally, this is my thought process, especially when it comes to the presidential election, is that if you're confused on like who you're going to vote for, which I keep seeing polls where there are people that are undecided, which I just don't even fucking understand how you could be undecided at this point. I've read the polls. I've seen polls. I've seen people giving answers like, well, I just have a feeling that things were better when Trump was president, which is like, okay, I understand. When you look back at a time where things were better, it was before we had a pandemic, and the pandemic changed a lot of things. Whether you think it's some kind of fucking flu, which I've heard tons and tons of conservatives say, oh, it's just a flu. It's not. If it was a flu, it'd be called influenza, and it would have an influenza name. That's not what it is. It's not what the virus is. And we had a pandemic. That virus still exists. It's still causing problems all around the world. Not as bad as before, because we have treatments now, and we have a better understanding of it. But it disrupted the Earth, planet Earth, and all of the people on it. There isn't a country that wasn't affected by it. Inflation in the U.S. has been mitigated better than all of the other, what do you call it? Industrialized nations. We've recovered so much better from it than the other countries. Do you think inflation doesn't exist in Germany? Do you think inflation doesn't exist in Britain or Japan or India or Australia, or just keep going down the list? How many? 265 countries? We'd be here if we're going to list all of them, right? And I understand that, especially if you're somebody that had a 6-year-old during the beginning of the Trump administration, and now they are a teenager and probably pulling your hair out, things were probably easier when you look back on, oh, what happened to my little son? Now he's crazed and he's going through puberty and he's out of his mind, right? Your stresses are different now than they were 7 years ago, right? Your stressors are completely different. They've completely changed. They're not the same. So when you look back on the sunny, shiny glory days of 7 years ago, 8 years ago, you go, oh, everything was great. Everything was amazing. And you go, okay, but it's fundamentally a different world, and your stressors are completely different now. And your stressors that exist right now are far more prevalent than the stressors that existed 7 years ago, right? Because it's the past. You've had time to no longer be super stressed out about the things that you were stressed out back then. Now your stressors are these. That's how time works, right? And if we're talking about the presidential election and we're talking about things like childcare, right? And you go, who is going to work on childcare? Like, who is going to work on something that's going to make it easier for kids to have, or for Americans to have kids, right? On one side, you have an extremely old man who seems to be losing his mind, ramble on about tariffs that he doesn't even seem to understand what tariffs are, how tariffs function, and he says tariffs are just going to pay for everything. And he has specifically said in interviews that the United States was so prosperous in 1890, right? Because they had tariffs. That's his words, not mine, right? A man wants to take us back to the horse and buggy era and utilize tariffs fundamentally to fund everything, apparently, even though the money comes from the United States, right? And the other candidate that is running is talking about home buying credits, right? A certain amount of money to help you put your down payment down, which, by the way, they already have segments of that operating in the U.S., giving more access to people to be able to buy a home and invest in a home, right? They're talking about bringing back the child tax credit, right, which would be an amazing boon for so many people that are working class, right? I know that I'm wearing a white shirt, but I am a blue-collar guy that cut wood and dug holes and put concrete in holes and stuff like that all week, right? A child tax credit that would actually help my family is something to look forward to. A tariff, thusly increasing the prices of everything that we're going to buy, is not something that I look forward to, right? And let's also take into account a big part of the inflation that is happening, that we are existing under right now, is because Trump put in tariffs utilizing the executive branch, aka the powers of the president, to just put them in place, right? And prices have inflated since then. Then we went through a pandemic where he ran a gigantic deficit, the biggest deficit that has ever happened, gave out all this money to every fucking business in the United States. You guys realize how much bailout money Trump gave to all of the companies who bore zero responsibility that there was a pandemic happening? They all cried. They all just sat down, cried, laid down on the ground and cried like little babies, sent their lobbyists to Washington to get free money from the government, right? They sent all of us a $1,200 check, which isn't even enough to cover 1 month of fucking childcare, right? And meanwhile, they bailed out every company. They sent out PPP loans and then forgave the PPP loans, right? They gave out PPP loans to Marjorie Taylor Greene. How much money do you think they gave to Marjorie Taylor Greene? PPP loans. If they sent us a $1,200 check, how much do you think they sent to Marjorie Taylor Greene, the insane space laser lady from Georgia, who, by the way, works for the government, considering she's a House representative, right? $183,504, right? $183,000 to Marjorie Taylor Greene, as reported by the White House, by CBS, by Yahoo Finance, by The Hill, by NBC News, on YouTube, Market Watch, Business Insider, Axios, Austin American Statesman. Insane. Insane, right? And then we're all supposed to just start breeding so that our children can go into what? The factories? Get into the factories, children, immediately. So that's why I say, is the American dream alive today? I don't know. I don't know if the American dream is alive today. It's definitely not alive in the same way that they thought it was when I was a kid, right? It certainly isn't the American dream that I was sold on when I was a kid. I'm 44 years old. I grew up in the 80s, okay? I grew up in the 80s and 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and it's now the 2024s. And did I pluralize that because it's the 24s? Damn straight. It feels like it's been 2 years this year, right? It feels like 2 years has gone by. I've probably aged 2 years. My fucking beard is grayer than it ever was. Yeah. And yet, here we are, still having to have these insane conversations about a liberal, spoon-fed baboon from New York who was gifted $400 million, probably even more than that, from his dad. The exact beneficiary of nepotism that we would all want to discourage from being in positions of power, correct? And yet we're still having to talk about this guy because he's managed to convince millions of people in the United States that he's somehow a staunch Republican, Christian, religious guy, right? Like he's supposedly some kind of important person. And he went on Joe Rogan last week, and I unfortunately had to listen to the conversation because I was like, you know what? I can't be ignorant of this thing that happened, because I can't imagine that we're not going to be hearing about it for days and days on end, right? That, well, Trump went on Joe Rogan. My first advice and reaction to this to Kamala Harris would be go on Joe Rogan, right? So at least all of these people in the Brogan sphere will at least have an opportunity to hear from both of them. Sitting in a room with Joe Rogan, who, by the way, just sat there and talked shit about Kamala before, during, and after multiple times. And I will say that it was a befuddling, air quote, conversation. It was really obvious just how eroded he sort of is as a person. Like, he is literally a rambling old man. Like, he won't answer a question. He, air quote, does the weave, which is just him rambling on and on. about nonsensical things because he doesn't want to answer questions. And I understand politicians don't want to directly answer questions. And I, of all people, sort of had the expectation that through the being around through the invention of the internet, seeing all of this technology advance and the amount of information that is being shared around in the time that I've been around. Tampa Tom says that would not go well for her. Kamala Harris should go on Joe Rogan, and it's fundamentally ridiculous that you would say it would not go well for her. I don't know what's wrong with people's brains. What's wrong with your brain? Seriously. Do you take drugs every day? Is that the problem? Do you make your own moonshine and just drink the swish in your backyard? Like, Trump is not a functioning human, realistically, right? Kamala Harris, at the very least, is a functional human who seems to be able to have conversations and talk with people about stuff, right? Like, and for people to somehow attempt to, like, Trump goes up on stage, she's so stupid, there's something wrong with her brain, right? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, we're talking about a prosecutor who was publicly elected, right? We're talking about somebody who was actually an elected senator, right? We're talking about somebody who functions around humans. Now, I understand, like, Fox News takes crazy clips, like the, what was the clip where Kamala was, she used, reduced herself pronouns. So there's a video here. This has been going around. This has been going around for so long about, like, how crazy Kamala Harris is, right? I don't know. I don't want to click here. I don't want to be a part of whatever that is. Can I just watch this on YouTube?
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these
Okay, hold on.
leaders for coming in to have this very...
Oh, of course it plays. Yeah, this video right here. Hopefully you guys can hear it.
About some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Right.
And
so this video has been going around about how ridiculous Kamala Harris is, right? And what's fundamentally ridiculous about why people are use this clip as, oh, look how ridiculous she is. So she was speaking at a meeting with disability rights leaders and conveyed to the blind people present her gender and what she was wearing, right? So you got to understand, she's in a meeting with disabled people and blind people, right? And that's where she's at. And why would it make sense to then take this clip, throw it on Fox News, and then go, oh, God, look how ridiculous she is. And you go, she's literally at a meeting for disabled people and blind people. Of course, you would want to take into account the fucking room that you're talking to, right? Tampa Tom says, I do also take drugs every day, to be fair to your point. Okay. Well, then at least we have an explanation, all right? As you guys know, I'm a sober guy. I've been sober over 10 years, and there's fundamentally a reason for that, because I used to take drugs every day. So my first and foremost hope for anybody who is taking drugs every day and having issues with drugs and alcohol and things like that is that there's an opportunity for you to change your life, for sure. For me, it was AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Some people go to Narcotics Anonymous. Some people go to Smart Recovery. There are groups out there that can help you out and make a change in your life, and it is free. And one of the biggest fundamental parts of that, all of those recovery groups, you want to call them a program, whatever. Most of them are just groups. It's hard to call them a program, but that's how they self-reference themselves. One of the biggest fundamental parts of those is building community, right? Like having personal connection with people, being able to talk to people, and get advice from people that you trust and can really go like, oh, maybe this person has some stuff that I want to try to have, and I want to talk to this person about it. Whereas if you have Fox News on the background 10 hours out of the day, just blasting out bullshit about how like Kamala Harris is crazy and introduces herself like a crazy person, then it's really easy to fall beholden to that happening, right? I personally have a friend who listens to conservative talk radio 10 hours a day while he works in a body shop working on cars, right? And the amount of complete and utter, like, the brainworms that he has now are to a point where I realistically just, I don't have the time, right? Like, I don't have the time to babysit somebody who's in his 40s and fact check his every crazy idea that he's decided to come up with. Also, the community that he's surrounded himself with is he goes to a dirty, disgusting bar where between 5 and 10 of the customers die off every year because of car crashes, overdoses, drugs. One of them got shot, right? Like, when your life revolves around going to a workplace, listening to insane shit all day long, then going to a bar, right, and listening to insane people and drinking and becoming convinced that, oh, these insane people, this is how I should live my life, right? And then you go home to an empty house where you live by yourself and then do it all again the next day, and you wonder why you do that. You rinse, repeat, and do that shit every single fucking day, and then you start asking questions and sending messages to people like, hey, where you guys at? Why don't we hang out anymore? And it's like, nobody wants to hang out with you. That's why, right? And then they want to play the victim, right? Then it's the victim card of like, well, I don't fucking know what happened. I go, okay, well, just because you pronounce your ignorance to the situation doesn't mean that all is free and clear now, right? Like, I personally do not want to have conversations about, as an example, that all women are out to like fuck with men, right? Like, all women are gold diggers, all women are dishonest, all women are cheaters, all women are this, all women are that, because it's obviously not fundamentally true, right? And then I don't want to have a conversation about like how everybody on welfare is just a leech on the community or whatever, right? I don't want to have conversations about racial demographics in the United States, you know? Like, that's not a conversation that I really want to have with somebody who's claiming that the whites are being oppressed somehow now, right? Because you have to refer to somebody that by a name that they would like to be called now, as opposed to something that they were called before, right? Maybe they just didn't like their name and they don't want to be called that anymore. And they ask you nicely to not do it. And maybe you make a mistake a couple of times. You're not a victim for something like that happening, right? Like, you have not been victimized in any way, and you shouldn't feel bad. There's a laundry list of things similar to the topics that I just highlighted as to like why people don't want to spend time with that person anymore. And one of the reasons that I would say going to AA or NA or something like that, and there are other groups that don't have anything to do with stopping drinking or doing drugs or whatever. There are other groups that people could go to. You could start rock climbing. You could meet a bunch of rock climbers, right? You could start a motor club where you work on cars on the weekends, and you meet a bunch of guys who like to turn wrenches and fix motors and do shit like that. You could start a local carpentry club where people show up, and you could teach them about carpentry, or you could work on carpentry projects with some other carpenters. Like, you have access to the fucking internet. You could just literally go on Facebook and start a group that is, let's say Tampa, because your name's Tampa Tom. I'm not speaking just to you, Tom. I'm utilizing your name because it has a city in it. Tampa, Florida. So what we want to do is go over to Tampa, Florida. Holy shit, and here we go. Here we go. Woodworks of Tampa. Oh, and these is just contractors. But we want a club. This is what we want. Woodworking club. Oh. Oh my God. And here it is. It's at the top. It's at the very top of the search. Tampa, Florida. West Waters Avenue, 2707 West Waters Avenue, Tampa, Florida. It is the Tampa Woodcrafters Club. Now, does this Woodcrafters Club look very busy? Not necessarily. But it looks like they're actually doing stuff. I don't know how many members this says it is, but there's a page right there. There's the official Brandon Woodworkers Club. Hey, maybe this is the Trump fuckers. Maybe this is the Let's Go Brandon. 11 minutes ago, they have people posting. I have a friend who want to make a hot plate holders from the oak tree he had in his yard. Is there anyone who can help with this? There's a post of them using their CNC machine. There's a post somebody selling a bench joiner and a planer. So, like, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. That, like, you could utilize your time, utilize your energy in different ways, and you'll be exposed to probably some healthier things. One of the things that I wanted to talk about on today's show was building this. I don't know if they're Trump affiliated or not. I don't know. They're just called Brandon Woodworkers Club, and I don't know exactly where these guys are, but these guys they're in Tampa also. 239 members. So you could have access to 239 new potential friends, and maybe some of them are like-minded and would want to do some fun stuff. But this is like a perfect example right here of just what I was talking about. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today was the apiary. Apiary is a bee hive, the honeybees. You have all your honeybees. That's where you keep your honeybee garden. It's called the apiary, right? And I'm going to be building a new frame for it and shooting YouTube video that I don't know if it'll ever get edited. I keep saying that because it's true. But this was like a perfect example that I attempted to give this advice to my old friend that I was like, you should probably join some groups, man. You should probably find some other hobbies, some other things to spend your time on instead of ruminating about the couple of bad. And by the way, to me, this all stems from he was in a couple of relationships and they didn't work out. Did they work out in super negative ways? Not necessarily, but they just didn't work out. And I believe like a lot of the animosity comes from just ruminating on that and being by himself and feeling isolated all the time and drinking. And then when he goes to work, hears from fucking stupid dead people like Dory Munson, which I had to have so many arguments with him about. Dory Munson was lying to him about another thing, right? And then we had to go look it up, right? Waters Avenue is like 15 minutes from my house. Yeah. Witchy Cat says not as big as Rogan's, but she did get it out there. So Joe Rogan has publicly stated that he's talking to the Harris campaign about her coming on. And there was a report that she wasn't going to come on. But Joe Rogan publicly stated she hasn't said that she isn't going to come on there, and she isn't going to, or isn't going to come on there. I recently heard that somebody smarter than me pointed out, if she does go on Joe Rogan, it's like her essentially having the last word now. That if they were going, oh, well, we would like to go on Joe Rogan, but we need to work out the scheduling or whatever they do to sort of like be mysterious or whatever. They probably were waiting for Trump to go on, and then she's probably going to go on because she's gone on a bunch of other podcasts. She isn't unwilling to do that. She's been on a bunch of other podcasts that have gone quite well. Like, what's it called? Call her daddy? Kamala. I haven't even listened to this whole thing. But if you go onto the Call Her Daddy podcast, here, this is the Spotify link, all right? There's her talking to normal people on Spotify on a podcast that's, I don't know, it's an hour long or whatever. But I've listened to a bunch of other things. I haven't listened to this specifically. But she just is a coherent, like, regular smart person who is running for public office, who, by the way, is our current vice president of the fucking United States, which I don't understand how I constantly hear about. She isn't qualified. Like, motherfucker, she's the vice president. She's literally one step below the president currently as we speak. Like, that's the current job that she has. So how is that not qualified? She's literally one step below the current job that she's running for. What are we talking about? I did listen to the Howard Stern interview. You could see her on a Howard Stern podcast, which is I think was an hour and a half or 2 hours or something. I forget how long it was. Howard Stern, which is funny because a little while ago, I heard some right-wing weirdo was talking about how she had taken a day off because she wasn't like on the stump or whatever. And somebody pointed out that, like, yeah, she isn't doing some events because she's the vice president. She has a job that she has to do also, right, on top of that. So kind of funny where it's like, oh, look, she's taking a day off. Whereas Trump has also canceled a bunch of events that he wasn't that he didn't go to. Yeah, Trump has canceled multiple events. Canceled a planned Tuesday appearance with RFK and Tulsi Gabbard on a health-focused thing. He canceled that event. He also canceled where's the other event? He's canceled a bunch of events. He refused to go on another to do another debate, which they easily could do another debate. Easily, right? He did one. I did one, and I won it. So I'm good. Which obviously did not do well. So yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the fundamental things that a blue collar guy like me is concerned about, like childcare, and I'm not just talking from a selfish standpoint of like, I need help with my problem. I'm talking from a standpoint of like, I have personally had to deal with this problem, and I don't want other people to deal with this problem, right? I don't want other people to have to try and raise kids while paying $1,700 a month per fucking kid for goddamn for childcare, right? Like, you just can't let a 4-year-old wander the earth. It doesn't end well. They need a ride. They can't drive a car. She could ride a bike with air quotes around it, right? Like, it's not a good thing to have latchkey kids, right? It's not good. It's just proven to be not a good idea. Anyhow, but like, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this a little bit was because it kind of ties in with the building a new apiary stand, which we've met multiple beekeepers. We've met multiple people in the community. We regularly have correspondence with different people in the community about beekeeping and about what we're doing, and questions about, hey, what are you guys doing to overwinter your bees? Are you feeding them this? Are you feeding them that? What has worked well? What didn't work well? And we've expanded our community with something as goofy as beekeeping. Met a local farmer through beekeeping that we're buying a quarter of a cow off of, so we don't have to buy a quarter cow from somebody that is 100 miles away. We can actually buy it from a guy who's 8 miles away or 6 miles away or whatever the fuck it is, just right over there. And we don't have to do that giant bit of transport. Like, we don't have to burn all this gas to get the beef from down there and then bring it back up here and do all that kind of goofy nonsense. We can do it from right up here, which technically is just better for the family to not waste money on gas, to not waste money on time of having to drive down and drive back. And also, it's technically better for the environment to not just burn fuel to get meat, right? So you go with all these just little aspects that could potentially make your life just a little bit better. And then plus, we don't have beef that was grown God knows where, beef that was processed God knows where, and beef that is at least, if not more than half the price less than the shit you buy at the grocery store. Even if you buy it like Costco or whatever, it's way less. So yeah, I'm just talking about like all of these peripheral aspects of just starting beekeeping and going like, oh, look at all these peripheral benefits that we get. Look at all these little benefits that we get from beekeeping, let alone the honey and the pollination that they're doing. We barely extracted any honey this year because of our sort of fear of if we extract too much honey, like this is going to fuck things up. But we still got 3 giant jars of honey because one of the frames we had to take out for reasons. It just wasn't fitting and it was starting to break, and we were like, And so we took one frame out and we extracted that, and we got 3 big-ass jars of honey that was spit out of bees' mouths right back here in the back. So there's a lot of benefits to something as goofy as beekeeping, and the peripheral benefits are like building community, knowing more of our neighbors, financially helping some of our neighbors to sell some of their beef, financially benefiting us to save money on beef because we want to have some steaks sometimes, we want to have some burgers sometimes. Not every day. We do lots of chicken. We do vegetarian meals sometimes. I mean, probably not as frequently as we should, but all of these little things can benefit your day-to-day life. And like on a personal note, I do know what it's like to be the guy who goes to work for crazy amounts of hours every week, spends his hobby time at a shitty bar with a bunch of other people who are living ultimately an unhappy life, to get up the next morning and do it all over again, and then wonder, like, why does my life kind of just suck? Like, I'm having fun, but this isn't great. I personally do know that. I do know that spot. So I'm not even speaking from a point of arrogance. I'm speaking from a point of experience. Like, I've personally experienced that life. So it's not as though I'm just sitting around dreaming up what a lot of American men are doing, because I lived it. It's a personal lived experience. And my recommendation is that you could make some changes. And those changes could come as simple as looking up a local Facebook page about something that you've just been interested in. You don't need to be a master carpenter to go to that woodworking class. You don't even need to know anything about bees to go to some of the local bee stuff. We have a master gardener who lives right near us, who works at the community master gardener group, who just stops by when she's walking her dog, and we've become friends with her. We've gone to the master gardening like the spring sale. They do a sale of little plants. People can go there. You can buy cheap starter plants there. And we've made a couple new friends that has expanded our community to some local people just from that, right? Of like, hey, we met the lady who was walking her dog, and she's a master gardener, apparently, and volunteers at the master gardener at a park that's like, I don't know. We like to go to the park. It's about 10 miles away, but we really like to go to the park because it has a big, giant garden where a bunch of people are volunteering their time to garden. And I should probably go down there and film it sometime. I've taken lots of pictures there, especially in the springtime when it's just blooming and things are going on and it's amazing. But we've made some friends from just that. And I would say that, like, I wouldn't really have been... it's not something I would have been engaging in back when I used to drink and do drugs every day, all the time. I may have like superficially said like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's cool. But I really wouldn't have engaged with it. I certainly wouldn't have gotten up early on my day off so I could load up the truck and go out to the master gardener's plant sale thing, because I probably would have slept through it or whatever. Right. So yeah, I mean, just speaking from the heart, it's like, it's really sad to see so many people have essentially been like brutally brainwashed by these media companies that have lost the biggest libel suits ever. And if you don't understand what libel is, it's, just lying your ass off about things like voter fraud, right? And it's a shame. It's a real shame. And it makes me sad, which is why I wonder, like, does the American dream still exist? Does it exist for those people who are so angry and enraged about these insane things? Like the percentage of black people in America. Like, who cares? Why do you care? Why would it matter? Why is it a bad thing? Why are you saying that's a bad thing? I don't get it. I don't get it. I was raised in America where we're supposed to be free and accepting and a melting pot of all of the best parts of human society, right? Like, why are there Mexican restaurants everywhere, right? If you're so worried about Mexican immigrants, why are there hundreds of thousands of microbreweries in the U.S. if you're so worried about immigrants? Like, why is there Oktoberfest every year, right? Why is there Cinco de Mayo every year? Why is there St. Patrick's Day every year? Why is there the Chinese New Year every year, right? Like, the United States is supposed to be celebrating the cultural melting pot that we are. Like, that's supposed to be what America is about, right? Send us your poor, your afflicted. What's the fucking quote on the goddamn Statue of Liberty? How does it go? Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This country's greatest and true genius lies in its diversity. This is literally the fucking thing that says on the goddamn Statue of Liberty. The thing that France sent us, right? Right? The thing that France gifted us. The symbol of America. Send us your homeless, right? It literally says, send us your homeless. Send us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, right? Send us your homeless. It says that on the goddamn representation of the United States, where we used to bring in the immigrants on Ellis Island. I took a fucking picture of this thing when the sun came up because as much as I criticize the United States writ whole, like, I'm an American and I am going to try to make this country the best that I can as a contributing member of it, right? And do I have criticisms for things that are going on? Yeah, I certainly do. But also, aren't we talking about the First Amendment when we think like, oh, shut this guy the fuck up, right? So, like, I don't understand if this is the motto of the United States. How have we gotten to this point where we would accept a candidate who's lying about immigrants eating cats and dogs, right? Why would we accept a presidential candidate who claims they're poisoning the blood with their bad genetics? Why would we accept that? And somebody goes, stop making comparisons to Hitler, when he's like quoting Hitler, right? Like, why would we accept that as Americans, right? Like, why would we accept that? It doesn't make any sense. And the idea is that, oh, that guy's better. That guy's better than the other candidate, right? Why? Why would you imagine that person is a better candidate? I do not understand it. Too many of us born to it have such a hard time believing it ourselves. And then the conservative of those can't believe that it can be done for everyone, not just those born here. I'm confused by that statement, but I think I'm trying to process it. It was worded weirdly.
Of course it was. I always word things weirdly.
Oh, Jesus, she's not hot on the mic. That was worded strangely. And I was trouble. I was having trouble.
Sorry. No, my point was that many people get to the point where they can't believe in the American dream as something that's even achievable for those of us born here, and feel like trying, and I don't feel like this, I should say, conservatives then extend that to feeling as though bringing others in make it even less possible in general.
Right.
And that's why that was really badly worded. Punctuation, who the fuck cares?
Everybody, who the fuck cares? Everyone the fuck cares. All of the fucks care. 10,000 fucks, all giving it. Right?
Yep. It's true.
What's up? How's your new house?
Hey, my woodshed is wooding and shedding.
It's an extension of your house. It's a new house. You get to live in there.
It is kind of. We did almost double my indoor space.
We've doubled your square footage, okay?
Yeah, actually.
We're going to have to come send the tax assessor over.
He was here 3 weeks ago, so good timing there. Yeah. And it's technically not a permanent structure.
It's not a permanent structure. We don't have to pay taxes on it.
Damn Skippy.
That's right.
No, it's doing fine, thank you. And of course, it's ceased raining, so.
Well, that's good. The atmospheric river was fucking flexing its might over here also. It was quite moist.
Well.
And it wasn't snowing in the past, although it had snowed in the past the day before. Because there was slush all over the road. Left over from the cold, because the atmospheric river shot in some warm air, which I think we should have been wise. I think we realistically should have been wise to that fact, because it got warmer up at your place.
It did.
It's like,
true.
Hey, why the fuck is it suddenly 50 degrees out right now?
Right. I'm hot and wet, and not in a good way. What the hell?
Like, why is that happening? It was 28 degrees. Now it's 50? That's weird. Right. And it's a little breezy. Oh,
And the sun isn't up.
yeah, go figure.
For those who
I'm
For
just
those
saying.
who don't know, where I live, the minute the sun goes behind a cloud or the ridge, the temperature takes a nosedive.
I'm going to tell you, your nipples are going to be freezing. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
It goes from it's 50. No, it's 38. Shit, where'd that happen? No, it's good. Thank you. Now my last push to get somebody up to fuck with the well.
Yeah.
So.
The well.
The well of dumb. I assume that you're going to get demonetized over the political talk, so here I am with the fucks.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't make any money off the live stream. Unless people super chat or become members. So.
Well, I would, but I paid some guy to build a woodshed last week, so
I didn't say you have to. I'm not speaking specifically that you have to. I'm saying fundamentally the live stream won't make money unless people super chat or become members. Because I mean I can literally here, I'll open book here. How much did this one make?
Okay.
Analytics. Last week's live stream made 70 cents.
Well, that's
so if I get demonetized from 70 cents, I don't care. I fucking don't care. Plus, it doesn't matter when you're live streaming. Like, I click the I click the stuff that says this is not for kids.
Right.
This is not child content. This should never show up on anybody who is under 15. I think is the age.
Fair.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but there's an age delineation that says, oh, this shouldn't show up in somebody's feed unless you are an adult. You have like an adult's account or whatever. Which is always funny because I invariably get these comments every once in a while that are like, "Oh, I was watching this with my kid," and it's like, why are you watching this with your kid? Like, what do you like? I guess people could like bond with their kid over watching YouTube content. I guess that totally makes sense to me. But
is that immediately followed with? And I thought there'd be fish.
Well, yeah, they'd be like, I thought you would just be talking about aquariums, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm a multifaceted person. Most of my content is about fish because I deleted a bunch of the old content that wasn't about fish. Like, this is my most popular channel, so like maybe someday I will. Actually, let me clarify. Let me backpedal here. Let me backtrack and backpedal. Who cares? I'm backpedaling.
We're going backwards.
I was talking out of my ass there for a second. To be clear, if this was 100% my job, like let's say we have 121 patrons, we have 61 members. If those numbers were like times 10, I would go, oh, this is my full-time job. I could dedicate full-time to making specifically only fish tank content.
Right.
And only talk about fish and fish tanks, right?
No one would be asking random 20-year-olds if they do video editing.
Yeah. This isn't this. I can't afford this to be my job, right? Like I can't afford this to be my job. It just won't. It just doesn't work. Like financially, it doesn't make any sense. Like if I quit doing all of the other work I do, then I just live outside or whatever, Bonsoir said earlier that their idea was to hold on, I don't want to misquote somebody. They were saying
their Harley
that is
and
why
live off the land.
What?
Sell their Harley and live off the land.
Okay, he said that is why I am selling everything, buying a Harley and living off the land, which I would definitely give that a test run before fully committing to that idea. Like figure out how to do like 2 months out on the road, living off the land, and just see how well that is going to go for you, because it's a very small number of people that can make that work, right?
Choose wisely where you decide to do it. Even if you're on the road, the rainbow family is not the world's most, I don't want to say productive, but yeah, they're not the world's most comfortable group. Put it that way. He's reading something.
Hold on, I'm just reading a message I got. Okay.
I figured that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm saying that like going out and living on the road like that is there's a very limited, a very 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 limited number of people that can handle that lifestyle, and I think it's a lot more painful than a lot of people expect. Because more often than not, like the average person is going to get to experience that for like a week out of the year, sort of at best, right? Like you got a week off, you get to go vacation, and it's amazing. And it's like if people take a vacation in Austin, Texas, and they're like, "Oh my God, that was the best. We should move there," right? And then they move there, and invariably, like a year and a half later, they're like, "Yeah, I don't want to live here anymore. I want to move back." You know, so it happens a lot, and so I'd always like try to recommend to people that like to really like sink your teeth into an idea like that, like figure out how to commit a good amount of time without completely sort of fucking yourself over, right? Of like having nowhere to live or nowhere to go or no other plan to make it, because there's a lot of weird things that happen when you are sort of rambling like that. You can imagine like an infected wisdom tooth, right?
Yep.
Like that's fundamentally like a problem that needs to be resolved. Like you can't just let that hang. It's going to get in your brain, the infection. It's right near your brain, right? It's a short path. Doctors freak out about shit like that because of that. Like you're probably going to die, you know? And then because you're rambling the road, like you don't have insurance. So you have to find a dentist that takes cash and on some kind of sliding scale, because you can't suddenly just pay somebody $2,800 out of pocket to pay for
a wisdom fix or an extraction
to get that wisdom tooth out before the infection gets in your brain. And I speak to that because, like, anecdotally, I specifically knew a guy that happened to, and it was one of the markers of really, really causing a gigantic problem with his road-bound plan. You know, of like, I'm just going to be on the road, you know, it's what I'm going to do. And it fucked everything up. And then he didn't have any way to travel anymore because, he didn't have any money. And I know that he had to sell off, he had to sell his car that he was traveling in. I'm just going to say car because van sounds creepy.
The stabbing cabin. All right.
Yeah. If this van's a rockin', don't come in here.
And even if you think you're just going to go and land on a piece of property or something and live off the land in that way, I'm here to tell you, not even anecdotally, it's lonely and it's 8 million times harder than you think it is. And even with money, ain't nothing easy. So don't be thinking.
It's that combination of like, do you have the ability? Do you have the ambition? Do you have the funding? And do you have the help? Right? Like all of those things need to work really well for something like an off-grid living or whatever to just work.
YouTube only teaches you so much, and it's fine. You can make some mistakes, but
I'm saying that like also, and the problem is like when one of those legs of the chair falls out, like the whole thing gets fucked, right?
Yep. And it's damn hard you were talking about living under the poverty level. The last 5 years, I have not even reached the poverty level in this
Right.
nation. And the only reason I'm able to do that is because I don't pay electric bills, because I've
Right.
got solar and the rest of it.
Well, you
My
don't have to pay
overhead
for
is
childcare.
right, exactly.
Your child is living on their own now.
There was a time when I did, and I made some pretty sus choices about that to keep her out of childcare that most people just aren't going to do. So,
Sussy baka. Don't be doing
I'm
that.
sorry?
Don't be sussy baka. Don't do that.
Sussy baka.
Sussy baka.
Sussy baka. Oh, God, I have a new name. But anyway, yeah, you've got to, even without a child, though, $1,200 a month, or $1,200 a year, ain't, $12,000 a year, excuse me, ain't enough to live on. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cray cray.
That is cray cray. It's crazy stuff for sure.
And you mentioned Mexican restaurants.
Mexican
Crazy,
restaurants?
man. We can't be having any of those. I live in I live in a town with 3 of them. 2,000 people, 3 Mexican restaurants.
3 Mexican restaurants. That's actually the wild thing. You think, like, oh, there's a town of 2,000 people. Is there a stoplight there?
No. There isn't even a stop sign in town.
No,
that's not true. There's one.
There's one way down at the end, right?
Yep, right by the gas station.
Would you get close to Canada?
No, oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's there. Yeah. No, I'm thinking in town itself, there is one stop sign, but since you're only doing 20 miles an hour, it's barely a rolling stop for most people. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I never really seen it red.
No.
It's like there's nobody coming from the other direction. It's like, yeah, we put in a stoplight because we like the vibes.
Right.
But yeah, 3 Mexican restaurants, which is hilarious in its own right.
Who's blank?
That's me.
Oh, are you blank?
I am.
Who are you? I did not realize that.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Trent?
Another name by which you go.
Yeah. But yeah, like, no, I think it was realistically an enjoyable week. It's fun to go out and work, and I like working for sure. And getting things done and helping out.
I appreciate all of those things. I do my best to, if not make it completely enjoyable, make it mostly worth your while. Send you home with a little something. So it's all good.
It's because it's all good.
Because it's all good in the not so much of a hood.
Yeah.
Ain't no. Not really any hood here.
It's true. It's true. I'm intentionally blank. That's right.
Vague.
Intentionally blank. Yeah, it's one of my online characters that I play online.
So interesting.
Yeah. Well, it is 4:00, which means we are done with our 2-hour live stream today. Was it any good? I don't know.
Yeah. Good stories.
The
People seem to
rambling
enjoy
nonsense. The rambling nonsense continues. But I will say
that's about the apiary stand.
I will say that the tank, it looks better on stream than it does in person.
Yes, it does look really good on stream. You can't see the algae, the blue jeans.
You can't see the algae. It's the trick is to make sure that it's out of focus, and then it just looks good in the background. But yeah, as people mentioned earlier, it's coming along just fine. We're going through the trials and tribulations of algae madness, right? And it's fine. It will recover, but the plants are doing great. So that's the key to making sure that things will continue on with that tank, is that the plants will just outgrow the algae. It's the reality of all aquariums, realistically, is that they'll just outcompete. The plants will outcompete the algae. Even though the algae is fast growing and single celled, the plant load itself as a much more complex being will outcompete the algae. And trying to maintain spring underwater is not exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. But if you're just persistent and you keep at it, it'll be fine. And then the Apiary Stand, like I said, I'll be making a video about that. And ultimately, I think like a lot of the construction projects, I'm wondering if I should just post those on a different channel. But then I sort of alienate the current community that I have now, right? I sort of alienate a bunch of people and go like, yeah, go to this other channel that you've never watched before.
Right. Come subscribe here too.
Mm-hmm. Just need subscribers, you know. So yeah, but either way, I hope everybody's having a beautiful Monday out there and getting ready for a lovely Halloween Thursday. Thursday will be fun, except Halloween on Thursday with a little kid means that she's going to be out running around a little too late. But I think what we're going to do is focus on the trunk or treat. I don't know if many people out there have experienced the trunk or treat, but everybody will meet up. Everybody will drive up into like a parking lot, like school parking lot, church parking lot. Fuck Walmart. I hate Walmart, but I almost said Walmart. So now I'm just admitting that I almost said Walmart, but I don't like Walmart. Let's say Home Depot. Let's say they all go up into the Home Depot parking lot, and then the kids can trick or treat car to car to car. And the people at the car a lot of them set it up like it's a little Halloween thing. Like it's all creepy and they got their little spooky music, or somebody had a smoke machine coming out of the back, and a lot of the adults dress up. So you're like getting candy from people that are having fun playing a character. And you don't have to go around knocking on all these people's doors that may or may not want people knocking on their door on a Thursday evening. Right? They're like,
shit, I left the light on.
Get out of here. I'm trying to eat my salmon bake. Like, why are you eating salmon bake? Are you 100 years old? And they're like, yeah, I'm 100 years old. Get these trick-or-treaters out of here.
I'll give you a shrimp jello mold if you don't leave.
Which would, I'd probably stay for the shrimp jello mold. That sounds delightfully disgusting. I would just to have experienced it. You know what I mean? It's like I tried it. I mean, I've eaten lutefisk, man, just to have eaten it. So to have experienced it, which is fish jello, basically.
Yes, it is.
If you were to describe lutefisk for somebody, it's like fish jello that smells like Satan's farts. I mean, it's intense. It's intense. Essentially, the Norwegians, if you guys don't know what lutefisk is, the Norwegians in the past, when they used to almost starve to death, so one of the crafty Norwegians said, hey, why don't we take all these gross fish parts, we'll stick them in a container, and we'll throw some lye in there, and then we'll bury it in the ground, and then we'll dig it up later when we're really hungry.
Every culture has something. Blue,
so
haggis, lutefisk.
Oh, dude. Because it takes all the cartilage and essentially turns it into jello, right? It breaks down all the bones and fish parts and everything, and the lye converts it into like a jello type substance. It's like
food's made with lye.
It's like thick jello.
That's an interesting.
It's
would be an interesting subcategory. Hominy, lutefisk. What else is made with lye? Anyway. Right. Anyway, sorry. Never mind.
Either way. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Maybe an edited video later. I was looking at my schedule this week, and it looks like I might have an editing day. I don't know. We'll see if I have an editing day. It feels like there is. And if there is, then I'm going to try to edit as many videos as I can, and we'll see how well that goes. And somebody gave me a new monitor, which I'll have to try and figure out what I'm going to do with. Because I'm thinking I'll put it right there. But I'm also looking at the amount of space I have here. And I'll have to do math. And fuck me if doing math ain't my forte recently. I probably should get more sleep, and then I'll be able to do maths better, right?
To be fair, you're better at it than I was, apparently, so have that.
It happens. I'm just more spatially aware.
Probably true.
Like,
Absolutely true.
I'm used to fitting slot A into tab B or tab B into slot A. How's that go?
I don't know. Sounds like a personal thing.
No, those connects kits. Remember
I know.
that? Yeah. What was
That's
it?
right.
Connects? Isn't that what it's called?
Connects. Yep. Kinetics or Connects. Yeah.
No, that's not right. Because Connects dolls is what comes up.
No, Kinex, I think.
Yeah. That. Hi. Yes. That's me.
Your eye. No.
Oh, here we go. We have to scroll down. Apparently, there's dolls named after the same thing. No, Connects is K apostrophe NEX.
Oh.
That's why. Because apparently Kinex was taken by a doll company.
Okay. Punctuation really does matter. Who knew?
It
Okay.
really does. You got to punctuate, otherwise you'll end up with the dolls. Look at
And we're
this.
too old for that.
Oh my God.
shit.
Let's say you're a baller and you ain't got no budget. Let's say you're a baller that ain't got no budget. You're just out there just fucking throwing money all around. Just
Building
letting
an
people
entire
know.
house with Connects.
Where the fuck did my chat go? That's a question. Okay, here we go. If you want to be the Connects master, use that affiliate link that the Federal Trade Commission requires me to tell you that I'll get a commission if you buy shit through that link. To go buy the ultimate Connect set of all time,
To go with the Lego set from earlier. Oh, wow.
the 6-foot tall Ferris wheel. Oh my God, you could build it. It comes with 8,551 classic Connects pieces to build your very own coaster. I don't know why they call it a coaster. I'm guessing that's a translation error, would be my guess. It's not a roller coaster, it's a Ferris wheel.
And even if you're 99 years old, you can have fun.
Can you be 99 years old? Is that what it says?
It's 16 to 99.
Oh shit! Well, if you break the centennial mark, get the fuck out of here. You can't Connects no more. You know, you're 101. No more Connects for you. Yeah, but like,
No,
oh, you dirty son of a bitch! You lived past 100 years. Like, get out of here.
No fun for you anymore. So sorry.
You can no longer Connects. Just nothing. Just have nothing and like it.
That's right.
But yeah, go buy some Connects and be happy with yourself. We love you. Have a good weekend or whatever the fuck this time. It's Monday. Have a good week. Commute
Monday.
hard. Commute as hard as possible and get it. You know what I mean? All right. We gotta fucking go. We gotta go. I gotta go get my daughter. And God, we gotta go to Girl Scouts.
And have your child.
We gotta go to Girl Scouts tonight.
Oh, you're gonna look so cute in that brownie uniform.
I'm cute as a button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
The cutest.
Goodbye.